Earlier this week, Honda Canada announced that it was suspending construction on about $15 billion worth of EV assembly plants in southwestern Ontario. Understandably, Ontario Premier Doug Ford was enraged by this. He said he was going to hold Honda accountable. And he should. Because about half of the $15 billion came from the federal government and his provincial government. There's a lot of taxpayer billions in those suspended plants. But then Ford went on and he said, this is because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And in a sense, I guess there's a little bit of truth to that. I mean, Trump is an idiot. There's no denying that. And his trade policies go back to about the 17th century when they weren't working then either. So Ford, there's a little bit of truth in what Ford says, that tariffs are responsible for Honda not wanting to finish these plants because they're worried Canadian-made cars will be too expensive when they're transported into the United States. There's a little bit of truth in that. But here's the kicker. Earlier this week, too, Stats Canada came out with sales figures for automobiles in Canada for March. Not quite 200,000 cars and light trucks were sold in Canada in March. And how many EVs? Well, in the previous month, about 12,000 had been sold. Fully electric vehicles. In March, about 6,000 were sold. The federal subsidy of $5,000 per car ended in January. It carried on a little bit into February with holdovers and hangovers and all that sort of stuff. But by March, there were no longer any federal rebates, and there are no rebates in Ontario for buying electric cars. The market simply dropped out because there was no longer any government subsidy for the electric vehicles. And that's why Honda's not selling them. It's because the market has collapsed. There's no market for EVs in the United States. There's no market for EVs here. There's a small market. Toronto, Montreal, a little bit in Ottawa and Vancouver. There are some people who want to buy EVs. But in the rest of the country, the distances are too vast. The costs are too high. And there's 6 or 7 months of winter. And EVs don't work well in winter. The reason that Doug Ford is mad is that he did the same dumb thing that Justin Trudeau did. He went all in on EVs. He believed the federal government when they said there would be no vehicles sold with internal combustion engines in Canada after 2035. And by this year, 20% were supposed to be EVs, and they're supposed to move up to 60 to 65% by 2030, and then 100% by 2035. It's not going to happen. And Ford and his government pumped all those billions into building EV battery plants and EV assembly plants to try and bring in all these great new green jobs. And what's happened? Without the federal incentives to buy EVs, the market is showing you what the market is for EVs. And it's about half what it was under the subsidies. In March, only 6% of vehicles registered in Canada, new vehicles, only 6% of new vehicles registered in Canada were EVs. 6%. And Ford and his government have pumped in billions to build more of them, as though they were going to be the be-all and end-all of vehicles in Canada into the future. They're not. And the problem's not Trump's tariffs alone. It's Ford's enthusiasm, Doug Ford's enthusiasm, for a kind of vehicle nobody in Canada wants to buy. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.